Hey everybody, I thought it'd be nice to just throw a few ideas around. I guess this is sparked by Nicholas Schuster posing a question on his Facebook group page, The Ultimate Physio, which was, pretty much what do people think, where do they see physiotherapy private practice now, or where is it headed? It was a good read because he basically said, look, no one's allowed to have a go at each other, so it allowed people to feel safe and free to comment. My comment was take a deep breath and put your fees up, which is pretty boring. But my thinking, and I guess my question to anyone who bothers watching this video is the same thing. We are in, I guess, a holding pattern in business. Now let's talk about business in general and in Australia. I'm from Victoria, obviously. Thankfully, rural Victoria, near Geelong, because the boss needs to shore up a couple of local state seats here, so we didn't go into stage 4, thankfully. So we still have a reasonably free operating practice, but I'm naturally a cynic. I have a fairly analytical brain, which makes me a little bit boring at times, I guess. But I don't have the optimistic view that some may have about the future. I'm thinking once this JobKeeper and JobSeeker and whatnot starts to disappear, we may well see some of the zombie business holding pattern fall. So, next year could be quite challenging for not just hospitality and travel and whatever, but I think very, very troubling for private health businesses. And particularly private health businesses that have grown a lot and grown quite rapidly with very thin margins. I mean, we're in a very human intensive business. And if you've got a private practice that's added a lot of wage plus commission types professionals, and a lot of your growth has been driven from a lot of medical referrals, which is code for enhanced primary care or Medicare funded patients, you might find yourselves in a little bit of a bind for a number of reasons. If no one's going to the GP, then naturally your referral base diminishes dramatically. So there's a lot of risk in there. So with the pandemic on, there's less people going to their GPs. The GPs are far less likely to be referring to you. There was a long time ago when general practitioners would refer patients without Medicare funding. I mean, obviously there's an incentive to do so. So my observation is that most of my GP referrals now carry a Medicare funding package behind it. There's not a lot of GP referrals that are just straight out private referrals. So if your practice has grown dramatically and there's a lot of Medicare funding sitting behind that growth, there's transport accident funding, perhaps there's work injury funding, you might have signed yourself up with a few private health funds, a few preferred provider agreements. I would argue that you're vulnerable, okay? Let's not forget that there's a bit of rebate even sitting behind the private health insurance patient. So if the government is broke, if the state government, the federal government finds itself with horrendous budgetary problems in the future, do you really think that subsidising private physiotherapy practice is going to be high on their agenda? So what should we look at? Well, let's imagine a world where private health insurance numbers collapse. Let's look at a world where Medicare says to the federal government, we are not going to fund podiatry, physiotherapy, etc. anymore. We need to prioritise funding into actually treating people. Okay, again, I understand the arguments out there about, we can stop people going to hospital and preventative health and all that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, they still need to carry out very expensive hospital interventions. That's the reality. And on a squeezed federal budget, I don't think they're going to prioritise physiotherapists. I also think that, at least in Victoria, WorkSafe will be in big trouble. if your employers all go broke, because there'll be a lot of small businesses going out of business, who's going to pay the work cover premiums? Okay, so we'll probably see a change in the way in which WorkSafe will fund interventions in the future. And let's face it, in Victoria, it's not a particularly pleasant model to deal with at the best of times. And we've already seen the TAC in Victoria tighten up as well after being way too generous. So what does that mean for private physiotherapy practice? Now, I'm no expert, I don't profess to be an expert, but I would have thought that one way of dealing with a practice that has grown rapidly and put on a lot of staff is you need to look in the crystal ball, and you need to look at yourself as an owner and say, who am I here to protect? We all go on about, let's make our staff happy and all that, give them everything they want and that sort of thing. That's fine. But with wafer thin profit margins in these businesses, it doesn't take much of a shift to find yourself working your ass off to pay your staff, okay? I've been there where I've been the worst paid person in this business, okay? It's not pleasant. So we need to look, I think, and in my opinion, at shrinking your business and increasing your margins. Go for the high-hanging fruit, not the low-hanging fruit. And by this I mean slow down, take a deep breath, put your fees up, spend more time with your clients. Get to know them as people. Become a trusted advisor. Become the expert in your field. Stop relying on your professional title, physiotherapist, osteopath, chiropractor, myotherapist, massage therapist, personal trainer, whatever. We're all chasing the same clients. I think you need a personal brand, and I know all the small business experts say, oh, you've got to get out of your business, you've got to step back and passive income, that sort of thing. Maybe that's okay for some, but if you're still passionate about what you do, if you still are passionate about your business, you need the business to be an extension of yourself, and you need to still passionately believe in what you do. So you need to find the right clients. You need to increase your margins so you can invest back into your business and not worry so much about your client's wallet. You need to look at your business's wallet. And if you can reduce overhead dramatically by narrowing down your focus, finding clients who have the money and the motivation to invest in themselves, to buy into what it is you have to say, into what you have to offer, and to spend time with people. I just spent an hour listening to a patient with chronic back pain and leg pain. I just listened. I didn't ask any questions, and I just let her talk. And she left here. I didn't do anything. I just listened, and she happily handed over cash, no insurance, and said I was the first person that actually listened. I'm not sure what we're going to do, but we'll figure that out as we go along. So building trust, extending your personal brand if you have a personal brand, and engaging with people and changing your business, because don't think that things are going to stay the way they've been the last few years. Don't think that government money is going to be swirling through your practice. Things are going to change. You need to jump ahead of the curve and actually have a look at what the future looks like, because there's going to be issues in the real economy, the private economy, and there's certainly going to be issues with government funding. So what are you going to do to deal with a new world that's coming our way, and how will you not only survive, but how will you thrive? And the reason I'm doing this video is I'm looking for your advice. I'm not out here to tell people what to do. I'll be really fascinated to get some feedback from people about, well, what do they think? What do you think's going to happen? You know, modelling and experts and all that sort of thing, we're always wrong. But the more we can expand our minds and think laterally and think vertically and horizontally and try to understand where the world's headed. I mean, I have my opinion. I'm only a small practice that I perhaps just need to communicate more really just spend time with people who respect my time, and maybe spend less time with clients who see me as a commodity, because I think that's something we need to think about. Personal branding, personal expertise, a trusted advisor, and let's forget about our professional title. Thanks for watching.